grab one white chair from the front for our panelists?
Yeah, one white.
Good, how are you? How's the new job? But not new anymore, I guess.
It is kind of new because I haven't actually. I started, but I'm not in school. Oh, right in the school division in September. It was just like they didn't want to. So it's been a lot of professional and personal development for the last 6 months.
It's good to have the gear, eh?
Take me back.
I know, and it was really disappointing because I understood. Right. They were not. I've taken the last 6 months to slow down. It's
Which I was surprised by.
Trophies?
still reading, there's a lot of reading.
Hi.
Hi, Colleen, how are you?
I feel good that I got through all I will do this. No more wishy-washy. I just did send you to the other room.
Anyway, lunch is on, we did have lunch in the other room.
Pretty emotional, isn't it? Heartbreaking.
You? Hey, keep our names each other. Bernie.
Yeah, I'm Jeff.
Yeah. You
Wander
around all the time.
Yeah. This is good. I cut out a police board meeting.
Oh.
I only have one sample. But I might not. If I can't get scheduled.
for YouTube posterity, that's a little more complicated.
Yeah.
So it is.
Not going in any particular spot? Three of us or two of us, or?
It should be you, Travis, and then. Is Travis here?
Yep. Yes. Boy, I like Terry Shaw.
They're going to make me bracelets.
Because of course I walked through looking to see if
I was reserving one.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't get anything.
I was lucky to see him yesterday. I had 2 people call. We don't sell work, but
well,
I'll tell
when we
you.
did, years ago now, we did like a show.
Yeah.
I remember my aunt.
Well, some people don't
She's
get
a, she gets a permit.
Shame on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, she could go get, well, by this one. That is how much. Give me the real price. I'll pay the real price. It is. She says, oh, excuse me,
Yeah, that's it.
it's so frustrating.
I know.
No, give me the real price.
People ask me all the time, and I'm like, I can't. It's cultural. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you feel?
So nonetheless, it's about oh, look at this crew. All right.
Everything's good.
Oh, they're good. They're good. A lot of stuff on the, here's a lot of stuff.
Of course. Did you guys listening? We went to Russell Peters last night.
Yeah, I heard it was a good crowd. I couldn't get away to it. Like, was a good crowd.
Yeah, it
There's
was.
there's another big Canadian announcement coming soon.
Oh, is there?
Like big.
Let's put you on the corner there.
Yeah, and I guess once we get Shauna, we're ready to go here.
Let me make sure I got all these off. Is that good?
Alrighty.
Kids on.
No, default all expertise to others.
Hey, Shauna did the same thing. She said me, I was like, thanks, Shauna. Like, I guess 18 years, I should have a grasp of it by now, right?
I'm asking some real tough questions today. Too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, super in depth.
Yeah.
A lot of it is all, it's the education, the engagement of the crowd. A lot of it, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
could do the Wikipedia, but it doesn't make sense. So a lot of it is just the reality too.
Yeah.
So sorry. I know one of those windows I can't be without my teacup. I'll go find it.
Yeah, no, he was entertaining for $60 to go see him. So
Oh, big time.
bring up the monotony in Brandon, right? Because there's not much.
Well, they did, we actually made money in the Blue Rodeo.
Yeah, I heard there was good attendance.
Very, very good attendance, and they made money.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have very good attendance, and still not make money, but.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was really glad they stopped. I wrote a letter to the band actually a couple years ago, and they just scooted right by us again, and I said, hey,
Yeah,
what the
this was
heck?
unique, because they played twice in Winnipeg, then came play here, and then went back and played in Winnipeg again.
Yeah, well, I told them next time you gotta come. I said, we're so many fans here, and
And they're just pros.
I know, and you keep missing us, and come on.
It's our generation too.
I know, it's like, come on, before we're all like,
Hello, everyone.
It was there. Coming.
No, but there's another meeting coming in. The announcer really said that it's like big international as well.
Oh, okay.
Which one is there?
yeah, there she is.
Well, well, well. How are you?
I chose the muted mic by accident, but we're good. Yep. Welcome. My name's Lucy Betterhandler. I'm only going to take 2 seconds. I'm the artistic director here at the AGSM, where we've been the honored hosts of this art exhibition that you journeyed through in order to get here. I'd just like to, before I acknowledge our distinguished guests, acknowledge that we are on Treaty 2 territory, and this is something that we need to reflect on constantly every day, especially as we have these hard conversations about how people get to choose where they are, and what kind of autonomy was led into that. So with that, this is the ancestral homeland of the Anishinaabe, the Anishinaabe, the Cree, and the Dakota. It's also been used by the Dene since time immemorial, and it's the proud homeland of the Red River Métis. And that is what I'll say, except for a little bit of housekeeping, which is that because we are by necessity a hybrid event today, we're also streaming, which means that all of our sound is coming through. So when we ask questions, I'll ask the panelists to repeat them, if that's something that for speakers to be cognizant of little black boxes as well. So please join me in welcoming our guest today.
Do we
Alrighty.
need to hold those, or can you hear us?
Can you hear us okay here? Yeah, this is good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so we'll do these.
All right, we'll just do it like that. Perfect. I'd like to thank you all for being here today. I am Linda Johnston. I am from 2 places currently. John Howard Society. I work there doing some service navigation. And also I am currently with Huddle Youth Services, Youth Hub. Street. We're here to talk about restorative. Broken hearts. So I'd like to thank Lucy and all of the staff at the art here who made this event happen today, and for providing our lunch. I'd also like to introduce you to the Manitoba Multi-Faith Council that hosts this art show. The Art Gallery of Southwest Manitoba and John Howard Society, we come together to celebrate restorative justice every year. We'd like to thank the AGSM Church of Brandon sponsoring this year's art show. And I'd like to start by introducing our special guest today on our panel. We have Judge Hewitt-Michta. A little break from court today. She's in the middle of a trial, which is why she can't be here today. So thank you very much for joining us. Also, we have Mayor Jeff Fawcett. And we also have from John Howard Society, Westman Mediation Services, Mr. Travis Blaine, to talk to us today a little bit about restorative justice. So maybe we'll start there with Travis. Maybe you can start us off with a little bit of an overview about restorative justice and what that is.
Thank you. So I'll do the Wikipedia. Yeah. And then it came in fully functional in 2018 through legislation. So we're the only province in Canada that actually has it. So what that is, it opens up avenues for support and as well as funding avenues. So restorative justice is nothing new to Canada. 1974 is actually when it was being utilized. For us, I've been doing this position for the last 18 years, and we are great to receive funding 10 years ago to bring my counterpart, Michelle Funk, who's in with us today, so I appreciate her support as well. So for the John Howard Society to have a program like this is very fundamental and beneficial for our community. For Brandon, we work out of Brandon. We have an office as well as one in Dauphin, and then we share up in Swan River as well, the court office. So what restorative justice is, and I'll use the terms for that, is it refers to an approach to justice that seeks to repair the harm by providing an opportunity for those harmed and those who take responsibility to the harm to communicate about the needs in the aftermath of the crime. So in the general terms for us is what we look as for Brandon Police Service, so they could refer, as we have it here in the Brandon and Assiniboine Justice, is that those policing organizations can refer directly to our committees, and then we provide them support. They then take on the matter itself and then sit in front of the individual and sit with the community and then have an open forum consent.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So, good morning, Your Honor, or I guess good afternoon. Hi. I understand you're currently in the middle of a trial, and this is why you're joining us today virtually, so thank you again for making the time to join us. Can you hear me okay?
Shauna, can we hear you?
No,
Not yet.
forgive me.
That's okay.
Okay, does the sound?
Whoop.
This?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you right now. No.
We'll do our
Can you
best
hear me?
mouth reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, your mic is.
Oh, her mic is on.
There we go.
No, hold on.
We can kind of hear if the volume was good.
Let's-
Okay,
let me see.
I can see you now. It was cutting in and
I'm so sorry.
out, but
If I do this.
You know, work on that,
Yeah.
give me a
Yeah.
question.
You betcha. All right, so we'll be with you. Judge
Can you
Shauna.
try again, Shauna?
No?
You keep working on it, and Shauna will
All
bark
right,
out when
yeah.
we hear.
Yeah, all right. so-
Oh, we got you.
Okay.
We got you.
I
We got ourselves. So Shauna, why don't you go?
can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, no, we don't have you yet.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we got you now. All righty, thank you so much.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
can.
you now. Thank you so much for joining us today. I understand you're in the middle of trials, so thanks for making the time.
So it looks like there's a bit of a delay, so just be.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Thank you so much for joining us today. I understand you're in the middle of trials, so thanks for making the time.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yeah, we got a real delay.
so sorry.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Maybe you should just.
You go to me.
Yeah, okay, so I
I'm
guess
trying
my
to
question
adjust on
for
my
you,
end. Does that help?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
is what role does our city play in addressing some of those root causes of crime? Thinking about providing resources,
To adjust on my end. Does that help?
thinking about resources that help people thrive in our community, things that can contribute to community safety, so at our local level, what?
At the local level, there's an example, the crew, which was, of course, also funded through the province. Because all these services are funded through the province, so the community isn't, the city is an advocate for most of these and collaborator, because when we send out our taxes, like none of it goes, like none of it that we collect goes to social service or housing or any of these things. That's all collected through the province and the federal government. So with them, like other than the police force, which is something that we're locally taxed. So really our role is advocate and collaborator. Like that's significantly what we do. And if anything that we do beyond that is just simply money we're collecting and not spending what we're supposed to be spending on, and not getting that from provincial and federal governments who have collected that
Right.
to do the work. So, big role is collaborate.
Collaboration,
Yeah.
and then the community policing piece. So,
Yeah.
can you explain a little bit about what this new crew initiative is? Since they're here today. Oh, we're
Good
putting you
timing.
on the
Yeah.
spot today.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the other roles that I have is utilize expertise in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm Amanda Conway, for those of you that don't know me. I'm a member of the Brandon Police. In September, end of September, we started a crisis response unit here in Brandon. Closely reflects other crisis response units throughout Canada in some of the major cities, where right now we have 3 psych nurses and 2 BPS members, and we work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Our primary responsibility is to respond to calls to mental health crisis. So 911 calls come into Brandon Police Service, and our patrol members respond initially. As soon as it is deemed safe and the person they're dealing with is deemed to be sober, then we take over and hopefully can mitigate the crisis right in community instead of having to go to emerge or utilize other resources. So far, it's working well. That's kind of one of our biggest goals is to tie down emergency room waits and stuff like that with health calls that we can deal with in community that police alone were not equipped to deal with before. So, yeah.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll also say a few things that sort of the city has initiated and played a big role in. Is like we've already been doing a lot of this sort of thing for our hub program, which was the initiator of that was Ian Grant, Chief of Police, a number of years ago, brought in people from the Prairie Mountain Health and everywhere to kind of create that. And it is a bit of the envy of other communities, the effectiveness of our hub. So it has all the different table. And so at a micro level, They can identify people that most need some assistance, may need some assistance, and they collaborate, work together. So there would have been times when police and social, agents would have gone out together. Some police are not needed, other times it's other different groups. But historically, we have done some of this stuff on an informal level. So again, there's a lot of things that benefit from that. And then again, like on current advocacy, we're working very closely right now with Samaritan House, Life's Journey, Friendship Center, and the provincial government, and looking at getting space for what we refer to right now as would be the homeless population, so that we can get them in there. We also are looking at making sure that we have sort of a navigation center in that place. And again, when I talk about us, we're advocating, working together, working with our community groups and the provincial governments, because the city itself won't be funding or paying for any of that, because again, we have no way of getting that money or revenue. It's collected through other governments. So those kind of things are close to happening. The minister is very, very happy with how we do a lot of stuff in the community because of the close work that our groups do together, and they do see successes. Also working with the Minister of Families, we've been able to work through our departments to make some housing come available, some very bad housing in the city that we knew was not being used well, a lot of police presence, a lot of other things, and so able to get those places into the position. The owners in both cases kind of have sold them, and a few others, and then being able to put in services and care full-time to take care of people that are in there. The neighbors have actually really appreciated that as well, because it went from a house that was constantly, like a lot of these homes, constantly disruptive, lots of comings and goings, lots of police presence, to a place that has services and long-term people living in them, and good in the neighborhood. So again, it's mostly about collaboration and working with the other organizations to try to find these opportunities.
Yeah, and that really is, I think, the spirit of restorative justice, where we involve the community, people at the local level, trying to understand what are those root causes of why people are involved in the justice system in the first place. So, taking restorative justice is another step to what they're talking about is transformative justice these days. Is, why are people involved in the first place, and how do we mitigate those risks and those issues in our communities? So that housing piece is huge, and so and the community response, crisis response unit. Yeah.
Do we have Shauna on?
I think the delay's still going to be there.
Okay. I can give you other stuff if you want to.
I switched to my phone in case that might help.
Judge Shauna here, because we've also got the art to have a look at this afternoon. So we wanted to take a few minutes on that as well. But if there's more that you can tell us about what's happening locally, we're happy to hear what else is happening.
Well, we did have discussions, maybe, with about 40 people in the community that are currently don't have anywhere to live. We had to sit down with a number of us. Our team was out and getting input on things like what does work, what can help. One of the things when the art comes into place is a lot of the people saying that we would like a place that we could do music and art, things like that, in a safe environment. And a lot of discussions about, because we know we have some housing coming, about what is your take when you're talking about people that are going to be needing to use that facility. It is important that you talk to them.
Absolutely.
To see if they actually will use the facility. So, I've been speaking and doing a lot of work with Judge Mr. Hewitt, or Hewitt-Michta, I get it backwards sometimes, with our bail reform. And so one of the things we look at in that, myself, Mayor Knox, Mayor Gillingham. We work with the Minister of Justice and federally and provincially. We've been making a lot of room. And what we're talking about there is the same kind of thing. Like, we like restorative justice, but there is an element that is probably the 10%. That's what we're talking about. When we're talking about bail reform, there is some incidents of constant repeat offenders, not sort of the 90% that have other opportunities that we can do other things with. So I know that gets a broad brush put on it when people say, you know, we need to reform bail.
Right.
When it's actually 10% of
Right.
the people
Yeah.
in bail.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll have another good example coming soon.
Yeah, and I think the transitional housing that John Howard Society is bringing
Yeah.
on might help to alleviate some of that in the community too, as far as being released on, perhaps there might be an opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, because again, this is another thing that we know at our level, and we, again, met with the Minister of Justice last week and the Minister of HAH, Housing, Addictions and Homelessness. We are going to actually, all of us, be working together to attach to that. We are looking more aggressively now, trying to get the sobering center also in place.
Right.
So we'll be working on that. It's up as a priority in the
Good.
provincial government, so we're ready to roll with it. But that housing piece is so in the case in Travis McVille said, an issue we quite often have is people are released from the jail. And there's quite often people are released to safe and warm. That's where they're released to.
Right.
So that is going to be helpful. You're not even really giving a chance to people there.
Yeah.
You know, it is working. And I have a background. I did mediation for John Howard Society for years when I was young. So I was at a good experience doing that, understand the process. Old Marston Grindy and I. It was Russell Lowen, I think was the, so that dates me significantly if anybody's around here that.
I remember Marston.
Yeah. So I've always had an appreciation of that, and the fact that it is based on a lot of First Nation and Indigenous sort of justice.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's
And if
what
we
it's
can get the
good.
chief on there, look at, I'm the going full politician over here.
You're doing well.
The thing that the Justice Department, ourselves, and the judges all are collaborating around is this concept of community court, which is making some headway. And actually, I believe that if it is able to be implemented, that Brandon has a chance of having it done here. Community court might be, like, again, the judge would give you a better understanding of that, and the ministers.
Yeah.
Kind of like a mediation on a bit of steroids, you see.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's,
so
I
that-
was gonna suggest that's very much like what our community justice committees are doing, but
Yeah.
at leveling
At an
that
official
up.
court sort of
Yeah,
level.
Yeah,
Yeah, so for things for thefts and different kinds of things, that you can actually meet with the community people and take it a bit broader and maybe more of that circle
right,
of discussion and community understanding, how did you get here, where can you go,
right,
and how can you
right.
be more part of the community.
Yeah, and I guess my question, this would probably be more for the judges, also, would this be very much like the drug treatment court?
Well, it would fall under there, so there's drug treatment, which of course we have in Brandon. There's mental health court, which we do not have in Brandon, but would be
Not yet.
good to have. And then community court would be part of that as well. And that's a discussion that is being actively talked about. There's other things, we need more judges.
Yes,
Maybe a
we
few
do.
other things. So very fortunate to have a good relationship with Chief Justice and then our own team here, all kind of trying to be on the same page. Our court system is not like our healthcare. Like, we need people everywhere.
Right, yeah, we've got a shortage of staff everywhere, yeah.
Our Brandon judge is not in Brandon
No,
right now.
no,
You know, probably none of them.
probably not, yeah. Is Shauna still there? Or kind of?
Give us some successes or things like that.
Yeah,
Just so I don't
success-
talk for
Yeah, successes of restorative justice, maybe where has it really worked, or in a community where you've really seen it impact?
Shauna there?
I think the thing to do is just to allow the delay, so if we're just happy waiting 10 seconds,
I was
then
gonna-
I'll just put her on the screen.
I was gonna send her a
We'll ask
message.
her a question.
Does she know that? There's a
Yeah,
delay?
yeah, we're
Okay.
chatting, so we'll ask the question, understand it's gonna take about 10 seconds to get to her, and then just let her speak.
My question for you today is about the restorative justice and the diversion process, and how do courts make decisions regarding which cases might be diversion or for a restorative justice practice?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I apologize for there in person. If this isn't going well, maybe Mayor Fawcett will wave his arms and let me know to stop. But, I guess I would start by saying judges are not actually the decision makers with respect to case
We should text her questions.
process. Prosecutorial
Yeah,
really
she's hearing us, okay.
But, I guess I would start by saying judges are not actually the decision makers with respect to case really so sorry, I'm getting the feedback of my own voice here, so it's a bit hard to follow. But in any event, the Crown
A
Attorney's
little
really
bit, what the judge might be saying there is discussions I have with her all the time.
in terms
The
of what
judges prescribe
is
it. Just like when we get into our bail discussions, it's not always the judges that prescribe it. It's often the prosecutors.
and
So
but
so
judge
that decision may come through their court.
role to play
But the
in
prosecutors
terms
and the
of
lawyers have come to the decision, we recommend mediation. So not always a judge, and maybe not even that often, that the judge prescribes it. But they don't overturn, and they'll let that process go.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
is
Sorry,
that
can you hear-
conversation between
The lawyers
the
usually.
lawyers themselves, and then
The
the
recommendation,
recommendation is made from the judge at that time.
yeah, based on, this is the recommendation for prosecution.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's quite often the case.
This lady's just.
Do the offenders themselves have a voice in deciding whether they want to be restorative justice? Or the other, that they can have they have a preference, like are there voices?
As Mr. Fawcett was saying, the Crown Attorney typically has the gauntlet to discuss if this matter is restorative in nature. The accused and the defense lawyer
And
can.
how to sort of decide that area, that it's restored, is there past ones, like?
Not necessarily. There's
just their own personal opinion?
very good question. There used to be a time that it used to be in restorative, everyone thought it was soft on crime, and it used to be low-level offenses. You're typically your mischiefs, your theft unders. Now we've seen progressionally, bringing with Michelle involved within our organization, that we've always said you could always give RJ, restorative justice, an opportunity. It doesn't matter what the levelness of the crime is, and we've had various serious offenses. In the end, it's what's suitable for the victim. And of course, the accused, if they're willing to participate, but that's how we succeed in the end. All parties, which is agreed on to them, and people ask what our successes, and it's never what our successes are, it's what people that were involved, their successes was. So in that terms, we always say it's repairing the harm. So it's a community-oriented capacity of it. And just to touch on what Mr. Fawcett was saying earlier regarding successes, me being there so long, is seen years ago that we did, and Miss Conway we could speak of, but with Brandon Police Service done a lot of really good work, that we did recidivism in a police service for I think 3 or 4 years. Then we went back and retracted to see of the clients that we received through the RJ files and pre-charge from random police, and our success rate was like 86-88% of people not reoffending. Because it's more impactful that, and this is me preaching, saying having the accused sit across from the people that have been impacted or that they've impacted compared to jury, but it's more meaningful. And we've had clients throughout the years say, you know what, it's easier to do custody than to sit across from the people that we've impacted. Because, and the word that I use is we humanize it. So that's the kind of the process. So yeah, so there's, we don't streamline what we don't take. We always take on files. We've never said no to a file. It's just a matter if the process is going to there's a safety net that comes into place. So we always say that it's a spoke that's added to the wheel. There's always a traditional court, but there's always, you could use restorative justice as well. So, yeah, very good question.
Yeah. That a good point on how it doesn't even have
necessarily needs to be there. Another avenue, perhaps.
Yeah.
So,
Does the restorative justice procedure recommend things like your programs, anger management and other, I know you have another family one, I think, for relationships.
Building healthy relationships,
Building healthy relationships.
caring day program. Yeah.
Do they have, I'm speaking from domestic violence
Sure.
point of view, which is basically responsible for most of the murders in our country, is domestic. And I'm just wondering, at what level does restorative justice or our broken justice system have the right, say on the first call, when the police or the CRU come into a domestic violence situation, can't they immediately get those people into those classes? And those classes cost money. Like, we really need to start addressing these issues so much sooner, before the third time, when the woman is, or the man rarely is, you know, hospitalized.
Mm-hmm.
Thing that I would love to see restorative justice acting so much quicker on, and can probably say.
Kind of the recant of what's been read and what's been narrative to us, and the police do the investigation, but to have the CRU and the Brandon Police Service and our community policing that we have, they're quite aware of what we do. We just kind of get the further back is the education. And when you admitted regarding the program, take that consideration, because we don't want to put barriers in front of people in consideration. So yes, there are things, because of we need to employ certified counselors, but at the same time, we're willing to work with people, because we know within the justice system there are barriers put into place. So give them the necessary tools. And then a lot of times when I meet with clients, as I did today, I said, you made a mistake, you're not a bad person. It's how we learn from it. All right, instead of being labeled, because that's where people come to. So when they're getting released from custody, they're labeled of what they've done. Well, a lot of these individuals have to go back into the community. So how do we present that? And restorative justice could be the option. We could do mediation within and sharing circles within their communities to be welcomed back in. And that does transpire, and that is something that's being processed through the federal government as well as provincially that we've looked into as well. So, yeah, very good question.
Are there any other questions?
Specific goal of restorative justice? Is it an attempt to reintegrate an offender into society? Is it an attempt to get an offender situated into a certain level of society? Or is it just simply to prevent reoffense, or to help an offender get over what it is that caused the offense in the first place?
Very good, very good. And I'll go, I don't always agree to, because this is what the restorative justice is in for the regulations in Manitoba, but the goals is victim-centered, offender accountability, community healing, reduce recidivism, and improve satisfaction. Victims often spend higher levels of satisfaction. So it kind of is a streamline, and there's many times that, and it's a resolution that's for all. It's not my resolution, but I navigate, and Michelle as well, we navigate the process. But we hopefully provide them those roads that, even though with our CRU and stuff like that, it's just the informational package. So everyone's used to the traditional way of defense and a crown. For us, we're like, there's what, and accountability. You have to be willing to sit across from people that you've victimized and said, yes, I apologize for what I did. That is not in the traditional court, because you want to plead not guilty, you're not going to admit guilt. So for us, a lot of our offenders are saying, yeah, but a lot of, for the people that have been impacted by it, want to know if they're safe. And is a victim, is it gang oriented, is it drugs or whatever, and sometimes people go, it was gang oriented, I had to do tagging of your garage, it was nothing. Personally, I didn't know you lived there, but this is what I was told to do. So those people are going, okay, we're not being tagged by a certain gang within this certain neighborhood. It just, unfortunately, my garage was sitting there. So do I have a goal? Not necessarily. When I meet with the victims, we give them this opportunity. If they don't want to participate, then we go, here's a traditional court, great services are there. They're very overwhelmed because of the number of incidents that are taking place, but at least there's a safety net on all options. So, yeah. The one thing I always say is that we don't re-victimize victims. I live that truly to my heart, and I like to think my counterpart, Michelle, works within that as well. So we make sure that everything is well listened to.
Anybody else?
I have another question, or sort of a seed to plant. Have you guys looked into rage rooms? Do you know what they are, and do you think maybe the Prairie Oasis could be a spot for a rage room in our ever-increasing violent civilization that's not going away, and maybe that's a healthy way to let people release and heal? And I know a lot of therapists are for it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a business opportunity for someone. I don't know. Yeah.
Can the panel repeat the question, please?
Sorry, so
Be helpful for us to have a rage room
As
in
a-
Brandon
As a tool.
as a tool.
as a tool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's probably some that say the cells at the police station are a rage room, but they're not formal. It's not a formal, you know what, there is lots that do consider that their opportunity. Just to rule it out, it won't be the Prairie Oasis. There's things on the go. Again, like, I think there is an openness to looking at all kinds of tools for the situation. But I do think therapists do use rage room ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're advocating it. And
Yeah.
in fact, it was a counselor the other day who told me that they'd gone to one themselves in Saskatoon,
Yes,
which is what, a smaller city than Brandon?
larger.
A little larger.
Yeah.
So
You know, to build on an earlier question that you had too about domestic abuse and all those other sort of that do happen. One of the things that when the federal government, we do bring up a lot the fact that the provincial government does work quite well between ministries. So when we're talking about bail, like I did a CBC show not long ago, we talked about bail, and everybody wanted to make it all about justice. And it isn't all about justice. It's about a whole bunch of other things. And conveniently, when we're talking about things like bail, housing addictions and homelessness includes all of them. You know, and when we wrestle with the federal government a few times because it has focused on justice, and we keep telling them, you gotta stretch this outside of justice. Because when you're released, or if you're before you're going in, is there other things? Like that's where drug court is sort of helpful, because not everybody can be brought. And how do you do things to prevent people from getting in that situation? And how do you best care when they're coming out of them? So, and justice doesn't do either of those things. Justice is just the inside. So, yeah, so you have to really make sure that those groups are working together.
Would someone be able to sort of break down like a Cole's Notes type of way?
We haven't heard the question.
Just like perhaps a real life example, like without names or dates or whatever, but like when a crime has happened and then the steps and while RJ has been used and then the result. So a few gaps that I'm missing.
Sure.
And I know it's not gonna be the same with each case. It's gonna be different.
Yeah, and it goes on the simplified of what the charges is.
Yeah.
This morning I was dealing with failed to attend court and mischief for an individual. They were in a relationship and there was a DV component that was situated to it, broken up.
DVB.
That's my apologies. And she got into a relationship, broke it off, whatever. She decided to smash the window of his vehicle and destroyed some planters within the residence. So she was charged for the mischief, and then she never applied by her fingerprinting identification. So that was sent to restorative justice. So for the mischief component, the victim would have been the individual. In this terms, as a male, that there was damage to his vehicle and damage to his residence for the mischief. So I phoned and asked if that he wanted, the window was damaged. It was claimed under vandalism, so he didn't have to pay his deductible for his vehicle. However, there was in approximately, he said there's about $200 worth of damage within his residence that he wanted to be compensated for. So we did that as well. So we took what he was in wanting into consideration. So if it wasn't claimed under MPI and vandalism, or the accused would have, sorry. And as well then for the educating, and that I thought it was best that she went to an anger management program. So
even in between some of those statements, like the crime took place, was the individual like arrested and brought into
oh,
custody?
sorry, yes. So the crime would have taken place. She would have been called, was arrested, then detained, released on a promise to appear.
Okay.
The Crown attorney would have looked at the matter because it wasn't sent right from the local police agency. Looked at it and said, "Can we go RJ with this?"
Gotcha.
And that's where they look at it and say, and then they'll send us an email indicating what it is, and then we look at it. Then the first thing we always look at is we would reach out, if feasibly, to get to meet with the accused and ask, what would you like as the provisions put into place? And that's not a perfect, but we do our best that we try and do that. So then at that time, we incorporate what the conditions are. So as this lady would be paying restitution for that, as well as taking anger management, so it's corrective measures. Once she is then compliant with that and follow through, then a money order or so long is then forwarded to the victim. A dictation is then put into the courts indicating that she's been compliant with this. And then what is read is then a stay of proceedings. And then at that time, it's keep the peace, we have good behavior for 1 year period of time, don't reactivate. So it keeps the record clean. But that's not for every concept within the restorative justice. There are people that have part of their sentencing is that they're post from incarceration, or they're in house arrest or conditional sentence, so we'll do mediation as well. So it does vary, but that's traditional from the time of the arrest. We do have, and we still do with Brandon Police Services, that they'll put dictations when they send pre-charges to us, that they recommend this as RJ because they think it's a mental health issue or that. Now with the CRU, it's totally different, but they're the ones that are the beats on the streets that do the interaction, and they're going, we continue to see these people. Why do we could work with? So it works out better. And there's a lot of times that our clients say you're the first person who's ever asked my side of the story. Because when a lawyer becomes involved, they say don't say it because it's incriminating. But they're like, I made a mistake, I want to learn from this, but they're not going to. So yes. Yep.
Is there a story that is has impacted you in a good way, where there's been restorative justice towards the offender, the accuser, and the victim?
I've told this story many times.
Violating, you know, their privacy.
Yeah.
I know this is a huge
So the big thing for us advocating for sort of, because a lot of people think we're soft on crime and it's very minimal offenses, but throughout the years that we've been very fortunate to work with a lot of other great Crown attorneys and judges within Manitoba. There's the opportunity to work with very, very severe cases in the terms of criminal negligence causing death is now the charges. So people have lost loved ones. And so we've sat down, and a part of the sentencing is that we've sat down with the accused that has taken someone else's life, and we provided closure to the families and to the accused. And what a lot of people don't understand is the accused made a mistake. It could be an accident. It's an offense. So you may be looking at custody, either provincial or federally, but part of that, and he's suffering as well because he's taken someone else's life. And a lot of stories that I relate to is that a lot of times people want to know if their family member suffered. And a lot of people always think first responders are Brandon police, paramedics, and firefighters, but as natural instinct, that is on a motorized scooter or walking across pedestrian, naturally, actually, we're going to come out and check on that person. And the only person that can really say if those people have suffered are the people that have actually, unfortunately, has taken them. And we've mediated cases where the families just want to know if their grandmother suffered. And how is she, and because by the time the police get in there, or paramedics, is 3-4 minutes relapse time. Naturally, if I go out and unfortunately I hit a dog or something, I'm going to be coming out and making sure and doing the best I can with my abilities. So those are some things. So there's been many times as a grown adult I requested to the accused if they could come to their son's burial site, and the accused said 100% because I need to So, yeah. So it's a very rewarding career. So.
Alrighty, if there's no other questions for, one more question, okay.
So, restorative justice, the general population can sometimes seem like, given art and painting, are we going about softening parts of the general population to the idea of restorative justice? How are we getting more people interested in this and seeing this as a viable option for the justice system going forward?
A lot of it goes on case study and given opportunities. As Mr. Fawcett said, building relationships, we're fortunate that we're a big city, but a small community, that we've forged ahead and made those opportunities. It's the educational component. And when I started 18 years ago, there was no act. And I had to go and build relationships with, if it was judges and crown attorneys, and have quarterly meetings with them. And I brought Michelle into that to maintain that with the RCP as a president, saying, hey, there's an opportunity process as well as we do. So to give them that opportunity, now we see the research, and of course the act came into place, say these programs aren't going away. We have people and professionals, and we have multiple agencies. Southern Chief Organization in town does it. Manitoba Métis Federation within our other territories is great, especially for Indigenous cultures and teachings. It's something that's been since 1974. So I always say it's a flavor of the week, but it's been a flavor for 75 years, or 50 years, I guess. Yeah, right? So.
Yeah, closer to your birthday.
Yeah, my bad. So, but yes, so it's educating.
And hearts and minds, I mean, it really is about events like this too, and having these
100%.
conversations in the community about what is restorative justice, how does it work, how does it enable our communities to be safer, how does it, assist the justice system in things, because we are so overloaded in so many of these areas, like we've been talking about, right? We're short on judges, we're short on crowns, we need lots and lots of help. So if we can take some of the stress off of that system into the restorative justice system and using alternative measures for justice rather than this helps that system. And by building capacity in these programs as well, I think we're also helping communities be safer in that way as well. So yeah, it all works together, and yeah, I thank you for your questions. If there's no other questions for our panel, I will take a minute to introduce Mr. Bernie Mullins. Bernie is he's a chaplain in charge of spiritual care services up at Brandon Correctional Center. And he really is instrumental in bringing this art show to our community. He brings a multi-faith art event every year, and he's going to share with us some of the prize winners this year. So.
We're gonna, so as Linda mentioned, my name is Bernie Mullins, and I'm actually the chaplain, and I'm also the coordinator of chaplains for all of Manitoba Corrections. Manitoba Corrections operates 7 centers throughout the province, as far north as Paw, and as far east as Milner Ridge, which is on the other side of Beausejour. And so there are chaplains as well as Indigenous spiritual caregivers in all correctional facilities. And about 2010, an art contest was launched. Primarily in the community, but there are going to be a significant number of folks who do come into custody. And so when somebody comes into custody, it's not just about providing safety and security, it's also about providing meaningful opportunities to engage in ways to look at oneself and to make positive, productive changes. And I want to acknowledge some of my colleagues as well from BCC who do a lot of work in that area. But there is no secret that in many facilities, in many prisons across Canada, are many tremendous, talented artists. It's a phenomenal reservoir of talent. And these folks don't always get an opportunity to be recognized or to engage in creative outlets for their work. And so in 2010, we began an art contest in sponsorship with the Manitoba Multi-Faith Council, which was intended to provide that creative outlet for folks that are in custody. And so I don't even think we had a theme for the first one. We just called it art contest, and a bunch of really fabulous art came in. So every year there's a faith community. The contest by providing prize money. And this year's sponsor is actually in Brandon. I want to recognize Pastor Owasi, who is this year's sponsor. And they chose the theme, Healing for the Brokenhearted. And I'm wondering if we could just go to the first piece, and I'll
They've asked you to
skip,
do stuff as well, so.
I'll skip the stuff that's on
Here we go.
the writing of. This is the last piece. What we've been doing for the last few years in partnership with the AGSM is taking some select pieces. I mean, anyone can come in and look at all of the art. We had 65 entries this year. But we've been taking a few select pieces, some of the better ones, and asking the question, is there a larger story? And that's what we did this year. So we'll just skip to the next slide. The delay. Yes.
Yes. Even on this, there's the 10-second delay.
I know Dauphin is a ways away, but I mean, it's much faster than driving, I guess.
I thought the forks were gonna be the worst problem of the afternoon.
So the title of this first piece I'm going to show you is called Imagining a Drawing, and which is the title. And this was actually selected for a third place. I know it might be a little harder for folks to see it in the back. And it is up on the left side as you walk out towards the front. So maybe take a little closer look at it. And so it's a very busy work. There's multiple scenes appearing. And to me, it seemed like they were dreams that kind of almost assault the consciousness. You know, sometimes you have an evening where you dream, and it's just like one dream after another, and they're almost like nightmares. And the things that might be happening here is that when people come into custody, it's a time of loss of freedom. But it's not unusual for folks to say, this also interrupted something that was very bad. This interrupted a cycle of destruction and a trajectory of my life that if it wasn't stopped, I might be dead. And so there's often a conflicted experience. I'm in prison, but I'm also alive. And that opens up of memories, of thoughts, and of course one of the things that's not happening is the person is not using substances, and so the mind is freed a little bit if you can put it that way. And so we're not going to talk about this one for a second. And so what happens in that case is people begin to reflect on their lives. You know, who am I? Where am I going? What's happening? And I think particularly when they don't have to think about things like, well, where am I going to live tonight? And how am I going to keep myself safe? And, you know, where's... And I thought with this first one, the images, there's so many different images, and the stuff on the bottom, if you look on the bottom, it's all the negative stuff is on the bottom, and all the positive stuff is on the top. And I, you know, when we think of stuff that's good on, it usually is, and the stuff on the bottom that's bad is, you know, we think of that as a hell. And I kind of wondered if this person saw themselves in sort of a limbo. You know, they've sort of started this life from, you know, they want to start from scratch, except that they're not, it's not like a blank piece of paper. They have all of this stuff that's coming up from that they're trying to process. And so that led to the, which is the one we just saw, the picture of the bars. And this was actually the first place winner, and it was called Time Heals All Wounds. And we like to think of, you know, we have that expression, time heals, right? We all want time to think, to feel, to hope. And that's the theme here, and what's kind of going on here is that the prisoner is depicting himself as a kind of almost a sad clown, clutching these bars. And these are almost like little advertising flyers that get sort of thrown, and but they're not. They're representing years, 13 years, 12 years, 25 years, and this is the years of his life that have been put in that he has to spend time in prison for. And it's not a comic book, but it's actually this person's very painful story. And the title of the work was "If I Was?" ? Would you love me if I was? It's a question. And it suggested that this person's sense of love is conditional. And that's not unusual for folks that are in prison, is that what they've learned is that everything comes with a cost. Everything comes with a price, including love. And we think of our, you know, in a healthy relationship, love ought to be unconditional. And so if love is conditional, which is much harder to break out of than the physical prison. And because the prison of the soul usually means you're locked in with catch-22. A catch-22 is that famous expression where, you know, all they know is conditional love, but to get out they need to understand what unconditional is love. And so it becomes almost a spiritual, psychological prison. That can be a pretty terrible place. So I want to move on to the next one, which I believe is our Stained Hearts. And at first I saw this, I sort of thought of a 1960s architecture drawing of a church. It kind of has that sort of all those kind of straight lines. It's kind of interesting. And when we talk about somebody being in the prison of the soul, one way of getting out of that or breaking free from that is to tell stories, to tell our story. And it's not just, you know, the facts. And I think this may have been what Travis was alluding to. The restorative justice processes, they just don't tell the information, and they can be heard. And what this person is expressing is an opportunity to be heard. And traditionally, churches, mosques, synagogues, temples have been places where people can tell stories. When people think about their own experiences in these places, the more impactful experiences are when people can share what their stories are and begin to kind of break out of that prison of the soul. Some hope, and this person is very much expressing it in a Christian context, but what they're doing is they're sharing their story. We'll go to the next one. Take a couple of moments. This is called Cocooned Heart, and this is quite impactful. In fact, it's on the little postcard that the art gallery had put out advertising the show. And so we often think of butterflies Butterflies can break out of a cocoon, they can sort of rise above the challenges we experience, and they can even fly away to faraway places, hundreds, thousands of miles away. But this butterfly is a bit of an amalgam of different materials. At the top, it's a living creature, but at the rear, it's where there should be an abdomen, there's containing drugs and a needle that protrudes out like a stinger, ready to inject anybody that touches it. And at the back are all of these, this fan of knives, of blades, of serrated knives, which are very menacing. And you think of then one day, suddenly, you will break out of the protective shell with a healed heart, ready to spread your new wings and fly with God above all the pain that once dragged you down. And so I guess it depends on our perspective. Do we see the front or the back, the top or the back? It's all about perspective. And the final piece I want to bring in is called Free and Beautiful Indeed. And what's really interesting about this is that every piece of the and deep colors, and you have this foreground of this sort of pink field, and all of this complexity of the trees, and the sunrise of representing what's a new day. And I kind of wondered if this person, once people go and they work through some of these challenging things, going to prison as a time when you get a gift, but sometimes that gift is understanding, and understanding of self, a different perspective on the world, and a more hopeful outlook on life. And the reason I wondered that about this person is that their comment, which seemed to be a very simple life motto, and I think a really great place to end on. They said, loving yourself with freedom, grateful for a new day, and moving on from the old self, wanting something different. So that is our art, and thank you for your attention. Take some time, and these 5 pieces are up on the left side at the very front of the hallway, and just as you come in, but certainly take some time to look at all the art and the comments. Thanks.
So is there any final questions before we wrap today? All right, well, I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you very much to our panel. Sorry about
Apologies to
technical
Judge Hewitt,
difficulties.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you for joining us today. And yeah, there's still a bunch. Please help yourself.
Thank you.
No, that was awesome. That was good. Hey, it is.